Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth and this is Awakened Spirit, and today we're going to be exploring the element of water. And you would have seen I had one of my favourite quotes from Bob Marley, and that is, some people feel the rain and others just get wet. And I feel that this is a really perfect way to describe the element of water. It's something that we quite often take for granted, especially in first world countries with the ability to just turn a tap on and have water accessible to us. And also because the element of water represents our emotions. So I do feel that, you know, this is a very strong thing in terms of emotions as well. Some people, you know, experience emotions and really feel them, and others just ignore them and treat them like they're actually not important. And this in turn you know, really can make people feel stifled emotionally and stuck. It often comes forward as, you know, psychological problems and this kind of thing because of our repressed emotions. So I do feel it's one of the most accurate ways of describing the water element itself. So let's have a little quick crash course on the element of water itself. I will be doing a blog post on this, and once that's complete I'll link that below. That will go into some more detail on the actual element. So water itself is seen as quite often symbolic of the goddess, and this is also because it's the source of life. It's one of the most important elements because it does sustain life itself. It's associated with things like oceans, rivers, the rain as well, and lakes, so all forms of bodies of water. It's usually associated with rebirth, dreams, memories, the emotions, as I've mentioned before, you know, the unconscious mind, psychic awareness, and feelings as well, and things such as empathy, our artistic natures and creativity, adaptability, as in the ability to go with the flow, and also purification. So it's usually corresponded with the direction of the west, the waning moon, in terms of the moon phases, and the season is autumn. It's usually seen around sunset time as the time of day that is represented by water, and the colour obviously is usually blue. In terms of magical tools, it's usually represented by the cup or the chalice. And if you were using things on your altar, for example, that you wanted to use as representations and you don't want to put a cup or a chalice full of water, you can use things such as seashells, you know, other ocean objects like coral is also really good, or river rocks is also another thing that I also have on mine. So really anything that you associate with water itself. The star signs that are ruled by water are Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, and the elementals that are ruled through water are called the undines. And these elementals quite often, more than not, are usually seen as female figures that are around about the same size as a human. They're very empathetic. Quite often they are also associated with things such as sirens and mermaids, you know, or sprites and those kind of things, but they aren't quite the same. It's just their elemental quality is very similar to that. So they are probably one of the easiest of the elementals to communicate with as well. So in terms with connecting with the element itself, one of the easiest and best ways you can do this is actually through immersing yourself in a body of water. So going swimming in things like the ocean, a lake, a river, even a swimming pool is another option as well. And if you don't have access to these things, then you can use stuff like the shower and also a bath, especially if you're doing it with mindful intent. Baths are one of my best ways of being able to connect with this element. I quite often will take baths with essential oils and different herbs, and also with Epsom salts and Himalayan salts. Salt itself is also one of the things that connects with the element of water, so it's another beneficial thing to add to the bath itself. You're just so naughty. Why are you naughty? Using things like meditation music is also a beneficial thing, so working with sounds like storms, rain, the river, ocean sounds, waterfall sounds are really good. You can also use ocean life sounds as well, so things like dolphins and whale songs are also a really great way to connect with the element. I quite often like to use this when I'm having my bath as well, to really immerse myself in that connection with water. Another great thing to do is walking in the rain, or even going out and standing in the rain. This is another thing that I love to do. It's a great way to really feel the rain, really feel the water connection, and it's a way of making yourself feel refreshed and pure. You do really feel that energetic cleanse, and this is one of the reasons why I like to connect to that element through this process. We so often are so worried about getting wet when it's a rainy day. You know, we go, oh no, it's raining, we got to stick the umbrella up or run as fast as we can to get to the car or get to the building or whatever it is that we're going to. But we forget in the moment to actually pause. I mean, at the end of the day, getting a little bit wet is not going to be the end of the world. But to immerse yourself in that feeling and that energy is such an amazing thing when done with mindful intent. As a gardener, it's really easy for me to love the rain because, you know, I look at the rain as nourishment. It's nourishment for the soil. It's also nourishment for us as well because, you know, I live in Australia and it's a very dry continent, and we quite often have a lot of problems with water. A lot of our country is in drought, so water itself is such a precious resource. So when we have the rain, you know, the rainwater tank is being filled up. You know, we know our reservoirs are being filled up. So it's things like this of understanding that rain is not an inconvenience. It's an essential component to life. The water itself is such an essential component. We may have, you know, over 70% of the world covered in water, but most of that is seawater, and we can't drink that. Fresh water makes up a very small percentage of this, so it is such a precious resource that we really do take for granted. Another great thing that you can do to connect with water or to bring the element into your home is by either starting a fish tank or creating a fish pond outside. It's a really great way to see the small ecosystems that form within the water as well, and also to have that constant element around you. If you're doing it outside, it means you can create a nice little area where you can maybe sit down and observe the fish if you put fish in there, or growing plants and that sort of thing. You know, within the home, the fish tank is a really relaxing thing. I can guarantee you that when you've got a fish tank, you can sit there for hours and watch it. It's just extremely meditative and relaxing. Another great way to work with water is through scrying, and scrying is an ancient form of divination that's been around for a very, very long time, and it's really simple and easy to be able to do. All you need is a bowl, or some people like to use a cauldron, full of water, and it's a very simple process of staring into the water and allowing yourself to go into a meditative state. And seeing the images that come up. You can do this on a particular question, you can just do it in general, however it is that you want to approach it, but it's a very simple form of divination. So I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Elemental Magic series. The next one I will be doing will be on the element of air. Please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all of the latest tarot readings that I do, and all my how-tos and informative spiritual videos as well. Thank you very much, everyone. Love and light. Bye bye. Say bye bye.